Hello everyone, welcome to the ONLE Business Podcast. I'm your host James West. So ONLE Networking, we're the fastest growing business collaborative community in the UK, and this ONLE Business Podcast is the best and fastest way for us to extend that conversation to even more people. So I'm joined by a couple of guests here this morning. So our first guest is Sean Toomer from Diverso Accounting. Hi Sean.
Hi James.
Good to see you. And we've also got Andy Wood from Pulse8.
Pulse8.
So the topic today of the podcast is disruptive business. Now, that's one of those topics that for me feels a little bit like I'm a Silicon Valley startup. We're talking about the Amazons, the Apples, the Dysons, the big hitters that have really disrupted industries. Our starting point for this conversation is really, can any business, a small business in Hampshire, where we are right now, can that become the next Amazon? So that's why we've got our guest today, Sean, because if we want a definition of watching a disruptive business, I think you guys kind of fit the mold, don't you?
And I'm a poor boy from Eastleigh, so a million miles away from Silicon Valley.
It's a good start, but it didn't start that way, did it? So let's put a little bit of context in. So Diverso is basically a new way of accounting. The strapline is accountants, but different. Your starting point or your proposition is really simple. It's £99 a month. Unlimited advice, £99 a month plus VAT, and you're helping businesses grow rather than doing kind of the old way of doing accountancy. Didn't start that way. You've got 300 customers now, but just tell us the story of how that came about.
Okay, so when I started, I was 21 and a bit of an idiot. Wait, so it didn't start as Diverso. It started as SR Toomer & Co. Just me.
The good old days.
The good old days. And yeah, we were nothing like what we were today because I was so young, just qualified. I was looking at all these other chartered accountants out there and I was like, I need to be like them. So that's what I did. I wore a suit every day. I spoke a certain way. I wouldn't dream of swearing. And stuff like that. That's how I approached it. But it was only after a few months that a client, I was basically pretending to be something that I'm not. I wasn't being myself. And then a client said to me that the reason why he became a client was because I'm young and ambitious and I'm hoping some of that wears off on me. So then I started to change a bit. Diverso wasn't born the way it is now. It's certainly evolved over the last 10 years and I've made a hell of a lot of mistakes. Although I don't regret any of them.
Well, isn't that kind of lesson one, that whatever you start off to be, and you set out from what you've described to me, and we have talked about this before, to be a traditional accountant. That's where the money is. Why didn't that work for you, and why did you start to change?
I just started to be more myself, really. I realised I was making a mistake by pretending to be something that I wasn't. So I kind of thought, well, let's just be myself. But then I probably went a bit too far.
Go on, why?
It's all about, you know, I'm young, I'm cool and ambitious. Let's do that. So we'd send someone a quote, and it would have a quote from the coolest accountants in town. Some people would like it, and they'd reply back and say,
I liked it a lot because I thought it's very different. I always thought accountants were all stuffy, and I didn't want one of those when I started my business. Then a chance encounter with yourself.
Yeah, but the number one rule is if you say you're cool, you're not cool.
Okay, I won't say that then.
But then your perception, you picked up enough from that communication to think, actually, this is the sort of person I want to have a conversation with.
With Sean, when I met him through one of my clients, he stood there and he didn't need to say cool, and I thought, yeah, this guy's different. Didn't know much about his service, but I thought, yeah, this is an accountant I can work with, and I think, you know, somebody I feel like I can just say anything and not worry about whether I sound stupid or not.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, but then I learned his service.
That's one of the things we've always done. Is now it's more, it's clearer because we always dress like this. We don't wear suits, we don't wear ties because it breaks down barriers. People don't feel intimidated by us. They feel they can say anything they want, and we're not going to laugh at them or start talking about the FTSE 100 or FRS 102 or any other crap that accountants think is important, but we know clients don't care about. So that, I guess, some aspects have always been there, but some aspects, like I said, we towed the line, went a bit too far. We had a 3-story building, I called it Toomer Towers, not that I'm egotistical, and it was just me in there, and we had all these stupid posters on the wall. I mean, you remember this, don't you?
Yeah, I do remember.
It was like a boy's bedroom, and I'd play Call of Duty every day.
I thought it was cool because I was a start-up business myself, and then when I came along to Toomer Towers, I thought, I did sort of aspire to it, if that's the correct word, thinking that, I've definitely chosen the right accountant here. But when you've got these like breakout areas, it'll work well for my business because of my outlook. So yeah, I thought it was good.
Why did you tweak that? Why didn't you stay like that?
Someone gave me some advice, which was some of the best advice I've ever had. And he said, you're at 10 out of 10, you can scale it back to 8 and still have the same effect.
Okay.
And I was like, that's damn right. We've gone too far. So then I grew up a bit. By this time I was like 25, 26. But I met my wonderful partner, Becky, and had some kids and stuff. So I grew up as a man as well as a professional, and started to look at things a bit differently. And that's when we decided, right, we need to get rid of this stupid big office. We don't need it. We moved to somewhere smaller, and we adjusted things. And then that's when we had the rebrand to Diverso. When I realised I'm creating something bigger than me. It's not about me. I can't have everyone turning up wanting to speak to SR Tuma, which is what it was called.
Yeah.
I need other people involved with this, and that's when we changed Diverso, and then things slowly started to change.
Talk about the pricing, for example, because that's been key.
Yeah, so I've always given unlimited advice and support. That's just the way I felt it should be, but it was never marketed properly. A client would ask for, I'm going for some funding, can you help me? And we'd just do it, whereas other accountants would charge for it. So what started to evolve with, and again, we've always had monthly fees, but before we'd just plug a figure out there, like other accountants do now. They'd try and base it on turnover or number of transactions or any other weird crap they can come up with to justify their expensive fee. So we'd say it's £600 a year, so you're going to pay us £60 a month. And that was it. It wasn't a monthly subscription like it is now, but in my head it was. If a client left, I wouldn't go back and say, you owe us £300.
Yeah.
Like, stuff that. If they want to leave, they're going to leave. So that's when we came up with our first pricing model of £75, including VAT, including zero, because we were working very heavily with zero. We wanted all of our clients to be on zero, and that's how we can push a model like that. And then over the next year or so, we pushed and see how much we could push that fee up and still be competitive. People still buy it. And that's when finally only about 6 months ago, I think it was, that we pushed it to 99 plus VAT. And we think that's the golden number. We don't want to go over 100. We make money. Clients still get loads of value. And we've added loads of extra things in as well, like they get free zero, free receipt bank. And that's when the subscription model developed. We're looking at things like Netflix. Like, can we do that? Absolutely. It's a monthly subscription, so a client can pay us for 3 months, and then decide that we're not right. If we're not right for them, they can leave.
It's so different, isn't it? And we've had a lot of experience with accountants, and been through the chartered accountant process and dealt with people that have got the suits and the professionalism. But what we've realised is that what you wear, what you price, doesn't really have any bearing on the service that's delivered. You talk our language. You guys are our accountants now, and I think it's that fine line, isn't it, between the initial perception is, why are these guys so much cheaper? And I'm sure all disruptive businesses go through this. It's so drastically different to the grey suit brigade that, that can't be any good. Did you have resistance to that?
Not from clients. Clients have always liked us. From other people in the industry, yeah, we've had some real negative comments. There's a forum. People can search it now if they want to, but there's
what's the website?
Accounting Web. If you search on there something about SR2 or kick ass, we come up because some accountant put on there that, has anyone come across this firm on the south coast called, I forget the name, but they say that they're kick ass. And there's loads of comments on there that say stuff like, they're not qualified, they don't look old enough to have left school, all these other negative things. So we've only found pushback from our industry rather than, I don't know, maybe they think we're bringing it into disrepute or something.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it?
Rather than clients love us. I mean, there's some, don't get me wrong, there's some clients out there that just think, nah, not for me. And we've had people refer a client to us and they go back to that person and say, you're joking.
But that's to do with your brand and your goals and the type of clients you want to work with.
Yeah, we're not right for everyone. We want incredibly strong. We say we want clients to absolutely love us, and I think they do.
I do love you.
We've cheers, mate.
I've got to tell my partner that someday.
But it's a great point, isn't it? Just because something's priced that way. I always think about the old Emperor's New Clothes analogy. We do it this way because we've always done it that way. Surely the essence of a disruptive business is that we just say, I don't care what's come before. I don't care if it upsets. I mean, surely that's the whole point. People are incensed by Blockbuster, you know, when streaming came in, and people were disgusted. And look at what people say about Amazon with retail. But at the end of the day, if people
I've always thought
see value, they'll pay, and they want to do it differently.
Yeah, I've always had faith in what we're doing because of client reaction, and I've always thought I don't care about other people in the industry, but if you're not pissing people off, you're not trying hard enough.
It's a very good
I wish
point,
I could put a brand like that, but I just don't think it'll work for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but I think you attract a lot of attention in majority of the good way of you know what you say on your brand and how you say it when you go business networking and through your your videos online as well.
Do you think that's part of the problem, that people start up a business? And I always think the strength of a startup is that there is no rules. You've probably got a vision of doing things differently. Do we get sucked into thinking, yeah, but actually I need clients, therefore I'm going to do it the way that everyone does it?
What you play it
Absolutely.
safe, basically.
I mean, if you think about 99% of small business startups, they start up and they basically do what they're doing already. Whether it's I'm an architect working in a firm, I'm going to set up by myself, and they want to do it differently, but they're just a bit scared. I've always said you need to have a healthy appetite to risk in order to set up a small business, especially one that's different.
I know we've talked about the competitors in particular have not reacted well. We get that. You're messing with their model. You're making a mockery of the pricing structure.
Although now we've come full circle and we're approaching accountants and we're working with them, because one of the things that makes our model work so well is how everything is systemized. Everything is the same. That's why we can only offer one price of £99 a month, because we only work with specific size of clients, which is the small clients.
Yes.
Which other accountants don't want. They don't know how to handle those clients. Like you said, small business have to be agile. They need to make quick decisions, and our service allows them to do that. So other accountants, they'll be chasing clients at 20 million turnover, 10 million, 5 million. We don't deal with anything above 500,000, and that's why all of the clients are different. We've got a networking group and a graphic designer, but what you both need from us, you ask us the same questions, we deliver the same thing to both of you, because your businesses are of similar size.
What about saying no to clients? So you will say no, or people say, "Oh, well, I want you to do it this way," and you have to be brave.
You have to be on zero. You have to use receipt back. You've got to do certain things because that's the best way of doing it anyway.
Yeah.
We've had some people come to us, "Oh, use HubDoc, can I do that?" Well, yeah, but you won't be a client of ours. We work one way. I can't have all of my team learn a completely separate system because one client decides they want to do something else. If you want to carry on doing it, that's fine, but you won't be working with us. And you've got to be strong like that, because otherwise the whole model crumples. If we have someone that comes to us and they're on QuickBooks and they're kind of, I know QuickBooks, I don't really want to move to Xero.
But you offer free Xero trainers, not as if you charge them.
We transfer them from QuickBooks to Xero for free. We do free Xero training events. We don't just leave clients, here you go, is Xero, go nuts. We train them on how to use it.
But we see this, Andy, don't we, all the time at experienced networkers, that's where businesses go wrong, that they won't be brave. Yeah. Their statement and their marketing,
they tailor their service for their clients. Unless you're a tailor, that's crap. Because you can't. You offer one thing and you've got to offer it, and you've got to be really, really good at delivering that. Otherwise, you're doing something different for every single client.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
I see it all the time from, with the design background, with web design and graphic design and all that side of things. I struggle when I'm designing a brand for a client and there's nothing which separates them. Sean is an ideal client because, wow, he's got something you can hook onto, you've got something to play with. But somebody who wants to capture the whole market, it's ridiculously difficult, and you're not ever going to be any different from the person sat next to you, especially when you're networking. I mean, I experienced this myself when I started my business. I sat next to 3 other graphic designers, and it threw me. I was 6 months in, and that was it. It knocked my confidence. But it's a learning process within business, and I think when you've got something as strong as you've got, Sean, it makes an impact. It's amazing, to be honest.
Okay, well, look, we need to really start thinking about wrapping this up. So what advice can we give? We'll start with you, Sean, because you've walked the walk, for people that want to kind of follow this path and be disruptive.
I think the biggest part of advice I can give is just have a pair of balls. And if you want me to put it in a less crude way, have a healthy appetite for risk. You've got to be prepared to upset a few people, because that's what being different is. People don't like different. But if it's strong enough and compelling enough that clients like it, there's a period where you have to go through a certain amount of time where you get pushback, but you'll also see some great results, because it's what you're doing isn't going to be for everyone. You know, like when Netflix came about, it ruined the way people watch home videos and stuff like that. You know, it bankrupted a business. Blockbuster, which is a massive business, has now no longer exists because of Netflix.
Yeah. So you're gonna do that to other accountants?
That's a bit I can't mention. There's a copyright infringement thing.
Oh,
there.
okay.
But no, there's still definitely a market for accountants, and that's kind of the point. I guess Netflix is a step. Is we're nowhere near Netflix, because they're massive and they've changed the world. And we're not looking to change the world. We're only looking to change the world for small business owners, and we want to give them the service that they've always wanted and they've always needed.
That's still pretty big, though. That is quite a grand goal, and I think that's important, isn't it, to have that vision. We don't just want to grow a business. There's got to be something deeper, and
there's got to be a
we've
why,
witnessed it. You know, you are delivering a service that finally someone's actually pitching to our market, not waiting for me to be big enough to pitch.
Yeah.
Excellent. Andy, advice for being disruptive? What's your...
Well, I won't say the crude words which Sean says, but I think just be brave. It's easier to be brave once you realise you're not quite making it and you're just thinking, I've got to do something drastic here, otherwise my business is going to go down. Be brave, do something absolutely unique. But, you know, I'm going through the same sort of process. I'm in my 9th year of my business.
The videos, I mean, that's a brave move. You've gone from focusing on websites and graphic design to video.
Yeah.
And the package you've got for videos, I don't think there's a lot of... Is there anyone out there offering? I mean, it's fairly new. It's what people want.
Yeah, I mean, people do need it. I'm being brave in a sense on videos and podcasts, and saying that, making it affordable for small businesses to get out there on different platforms. But I can only be brave because I've built my business up to a certain point where I've got some loyal clients, and it keeps the income coming in. But I think, going to a reoccurring, there's a hit. If you're saying you're going to charge £99 a month, you couldn't do that off the bat. If you've got nothing to fall back on, you need something. But I think sometimes, to answer your question, it's just being brave and just going for it. You'll soon realise within about 3-6 months that actually this isn't working, and you've got to try it out. I deal with a lot of small businesses who've just started up, helping with their branding, and they always seem to take a bit of a direction in the first year. But there's people who are brave enough to really go for something utterly different.
Yeah, and we see this particularly through the network of the people that, as I say, start off trying to do one thing and they build their marketing based on something fresh and exciting, and then they just carry on doing what are just a carbon copy of everyone else. And I think the ONLE experience has been really crucial, and you talked about a tipping point with your pricing where you kind of found that sweet spot of what people would pay for and you actually grew more. We certainly found with ONLE, one of our values is that we want to give everyone the opportunity to have the kind of networking experience that we did. But we're inclusive, but we're not afraid to exclude people. So if you come to us and say, yeah, but I don't want it that way, we're not going to change it for one person, because there's other ways of doing networking. A bit like you. Yeah, it's a great proposition, but you've got to, at some point, we're going to help and give, but you've got to do it our way. Otherwise, there's no point. We're just going to break it, haven't we? So building those values and looking at, what's the immutable stuff that I won't change. Being a bit stubborn, isn't it?
I think you're absolutely right, James. It is being stubborn, knowing your audience. And I think it's accepting as well that you're not going to be for everyone out there whatsoever. Yeah. In accountancy, in networking, and in videography as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, I think that's perfect, guys. So thanks ever so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's been the first edition of the ONLE podcast. We look forward to having you back next month for another business topic.